What's going on, guys? Hyper here. A few people have been requesting for me to do Kingaroth, even though next I was supposed to do Portal Keeper and then Imonar. But I guess a lot of people are progging this boss still and are having issues with it. And I've seen a lot of questions about it on the DK Discord as well, so I thought I would skip ahead a little bit and show you guys how to parse on Kingaroth. Now for this boss, I will be using the Breath of Sindragosa build, and I will be taking Avalanche instead of Ice Cap, because that puts our Pillar of Frost at 1 minute cooldown, and the adds are spaced out every 2 minutes. So we can Pillar of Frost every ad, and then halfway between every ad. And as long as we press it exactly on cooldown, we'll have it up for every phase. For the talent build I'm using here, it's just a default BOS again, Runic Attenuation, Murderous Efficiency, Avalanche. Then the next two don't really matter. You can also go with Volatile Shielding here if you want, but I prefer Inox Assault. Then Gathering Storm, and of course Breath of Sindragosa. For legendaries, I go with the Bracers and the Belt. If you don't have those, then you can also use Bracers and the Chest, because Cold Hard provides you a nice little burst of damage on the adds. But Bracers and the Belt is a little bit ahead of it. As far as stats go, I stack a little bit more mastery than I normally do. In this video, I had 12,000 haste, 9,000 mastery, 4.8k versatility, and 5.7k crit. So normally my mastery is around 4,000, so here I double it for my Breath of Sindragosa build, because it's frost damage, and since most of our damage will be on the adds, you know, we might as well stack and front load it as much as possible. For trinkets, I'm just using default. I'm using the Pantheon trinket and Shadow Singed Fang. If you have any good trinkets, on this fight, there's not anything that particularly stands out. You don't want trinkets that take time to ramp up. Like, for example, Eye of Command, you want to front load your damage as much as possible, and if you're using Eye of Command, then you need to build it up, and by the time you get to 10 stacks, the ad is already at half HP, and the damage bonus is already diminished to like more than half. So let's roll the clip and let's look at this fight. On pull, we'll make sure we have Food, Flask, and Augment Rune, and pre-pot, and we go in with Remorseless Winter. We don't pop anything else, we just, you know, hit Remorseless Winter and do our normal rotation. And we'll be able to get in 2 Remorseless Winters before the first ad spawns. So don't hold on to the second one, make sure you press it on cooldown and just keep hitting the boss. We're gonna basically do no damage here, but we're just setting up for the ad. Now when this first Ruiner comes in, you kind of want to rotate towards where your ad is and build up runic power. You see me sit at 93 here, 95, and as soon as the ad spawns, I rate walk over, Breath of Sindragosa on the way. Then I Remorseless Winter and start nuking the ad with Obliterates. And as soon as he gets to 5 Razor Eye stacks, I Dragon him. Now, I AMS here and I stand in the puddle just for the extra runic power. And then I also use Arcane Torrent here. Yep, there it is. Just for the runic power and keep going ham. The way I spread out my cooldowns is I will have Anti-Magic Shell and Arcane Torrent for every single ad phase. Along with it, every other ad phase, or the second ad phase, I will be able to empower Rune Weapon. Then the third one, we're lusting, so it dies real quick. And then the fourth one, I can empower Rune Weapon again. And on the fourth one, I would pot again. So this first one, as you saw, I only had Potion Rolling, and then I used AMS and Arcane Torrent. That's all I had budget for this first one, and usually it dies in time. So as long as you hug the boss, you won't have to deal with bombs, even if you're ranged DPS. Like 95% of the time, as long as you're hugging the boss, you don't have to worry about dodging bombs at all. There are a few, like right here. If you see it spawn in like halfway in the boss, the little swirly that indicates that the ball is spawning, then you might have to step out of melee range. But for example, that one that I wraith walked around there was actually dodgeable by just hugging the boss. I just didn't want to take the chance. So there I had to use Wraith Walk, and you will see me be late on this next ad because I don't set up properly for it. Normally I only Wraith Walk to get to the ads. It's especially useful when there's a lot of bombs going around. At this point there shouldn't be, but it still helps you get to the ad faster. So we see that we have Apocalypse Protocol in 10 seconds. I build up our runic power and just get ready to get to the ad. Now I also have a bomb here going right behind me, and then as soon as it passes me, I run to the boss, but I don't have Wraith Walk, so I'm a little late. I pop Breath of Sindragosa on the way just because of their range, it still ticks the ad. And again, I AMS, I clip that puddle just for the runic power, I Arcane Torrent, and I try to front load my damage as much as possible because the damage scaler on these ads diminishes really quick. So it's better to front load your damage even if it means wasting some runic power. You don't want to extend your breath as long as possible. You just want to get as big of a burst of damage in as you can. And especially when you have Empowered Runic Weapon up, you can definitely front load those Obliterates and don't have to worry about spacing them out just for rune regen. Now for this Ruiner, we just dodge it and we finish off this ad. We have 2 DPS dead here, which is very important and will actually end up costing quite a few ranks on this boss. But normally our boss dies right on the 4th ads, and on the 4th set of ads we only kill 2 and the boss is dead. But since we have 2 DPS dead basically for the entire fight, that will not happen, and that changes my rank quite a lot because it's very important when this fight ends to how well you do. Because as you can see, our DPS spikes up very high whenever we're in an ad phase, and then kind of drops, and it has like a little valley whenever we're just hitting the boss. So theoretically, the best time to end a fight is right after the ads die, and the worst time to end is right before new ads spawn. So here we're just dodging bombs, hitting the boss, not too much going on. And we have Apocalypse again in 8 seconds, and you'll see me save up runic power and some runes here. I'm at 80 RP, which is quite enough, and I will be building up anyway with those auto attacks. Then you see me Wraith Walk, and my Breath of Sindragosa is like 1 second late here, but that's just because I messed up on the 2nd set of ads a little bit. And we got a slightly late Lust. And again, I just AMS there to stand in a puddle to gain the runic power, and then here I Arcane Torrent. And on this 3rd one, you will also have your Dragon backup, and I had both Concordance and Fallen Crusader there, so that was pretty nice. I could have used it a little bit earlier when the damage multiplier was still a little bit higher, but honestly, I just wasn't looking at it. Now, we still have 2 ads up here. Our goal is just to finish them off, do as much damage to them as possible, because we can cleave to the boss with our Rhyme procs. We get the debuff, move out of melee range, make sure not to cleave anyone. I actually think I hit 1 person, but balls were rolling in, so I kind of had to stay close. Ruiner, not on us, we don't have to worry about it. And we still have our pot. And for the next ad phase, we'll be able to potion, and we'll have Empowered Rune Weapon backup as well. So as far as our Pillar of Frost goes, you want to use it on cooldown. You save everything until the 1st ad, you pop it on the 1st ad, obviously with Breath of Sindragosa, and then you want to press it on cooldown. The millisecond it's available, you press it. The way you know that you've been keeping up tempo on your Pillar of Frost is that its cooldown will be the exact same as Breath of Sindragosa after the 2nd usage. So you see that my breath here has 22 seconds and my Pillar has 21. That means that at some point I wasted 1 second and didn't press Pillar, which is, you know, not that impactful, but when the ads spawn, you want to be able to Pillar of Frost and Breath of Sindragosa at the same time immediately. So there's a lot of balls going around here, so I just kind of stutter step towards the edge, then Wraith Walk through. And here you see me Breath of Sindragosa, then my Pillar is still off. I 2nd pot, use Pillar. I AMS here defensively because we have 4 people dead. So I know we'll be taking more damage because these ads will be up longer. And again, I use Arcane Torrent for that runic power, use my procs, and then Empower Rune Weapon and just keep hitting this ad. Normally, like I said, or the boss dies as soon as this ad would die, and that would be the end of the fight, which would have meant that I would have ended at like 2.51 million DPS, which at the time I think was rank 1 or rank 2. But sadly, this fight didn't go exactly as planned, which just shows kind of the impact that not only your skill matters whenever you're trying to parse, but how well your raid does. And that is very important distinction to make, because especially in the average Mythic guild, I would say there are a lot of kills where either half of your raid is dead, or you barely squeak by with killing the boss with like 1 or 2 people alive. And those are the fights where it's very difficult to parse. Now here something weird happens. I'm not even in the hitbox of their ruiner, and I just die to it. Honestly, that was just a little frustrating. But then the fight ends, and we end at 2.41 million DPS. So a lot of things went wrong on this fight, and it could have been a potentially very, very good pull. But that's just how it goes sometimes. Pull up the rankings here, and we got rank 18 at 2.4 million. So at the ideal time the boss would have died, I was more than 100k DPS over that. But that's just how it is. This is the best footage I have so far of this boss as far as rank goes. That's basically how you parse on Kingaroth Mythic and do maximum DPS. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comment section, and I will try to answer as soon as possible. If you have any other tips or tricks that you'd like to share for this fight, please also leave them in the comment section to help out some fellow DKs. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.